Hello everyone and welcome to Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. Today we are here in downtown Toronto in the beautiful Allen Gardens Park. We wanted a change of scenery. So today on my show we're going to be talking about activism and key roles that some of the trans women play in making sure that our community is supported and get the resources that they need. And during this pandemic, who they should reach out to now that a lot of the programs are no longer. So today I invited Vanessa Carter to my show to talk about trans activism. So welcome to my show, Miss Lady.
Thank you, Stephanie.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, I am so glad that you decided to do the show with us today because we want to educate and inspire.
And that's what we need to do.
Now, let's first get it out of the way. How do you identify?
I go by she, her.
Okay. Now, how long have you been in Toronto?
10 years.
Oh, 10 years. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Barbados, small Caribbean country.
Now, I want to just ask this question about your transition. How long have you been transitioning?
15 years.
Oh, it was. I loved it earlier when you were telling me a little story about you and a friend and
That was when I was young. I was like 16 years old. I didn't even know myself. I didn't even know what transgender was. I know I was different from everyone else. I know I was the most openly gay person in the paramilitary group, which they gave me help for, but I stood my ground. And you know what? That made me so strong and powerful to come out to my parents, come out to my community, and just live my life freely. It was hard because obviously in the Caribbean there's a lot of homophobia, but I lived my life for me.
You know, I gotta say this: you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. and it's, for me, I would have never guessed that you were a transgendered woman, which is good today. A lot of transgendered women are actually living their truth. And
Out
now,
loud and in color.
and everybody's online now, and you see it everywhere. This is amazing, amazing. You think 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would have never been.
You never
able
saw no
to
presence. Never saw no presence on TV, radio, nothing.
And you know, the good thing about all of this is that she was right when she said to me earlier that the pandemic actually equalized a lot of things.
That's right.
Now, what have you been doing? What have you been
Well,
doing?
I've been doing a course in harm reduction because, you know, in the gay community and, well, in the whole world, this epidemic with the opioids has taken over. You know that before this, I was a pandemic that we have here with the coronavirus, we had the AIDS epidemic, and now we got this opioid epidemic. So we have to come together as a community and try to help each other out. You know what I mean? So we need more harm reduction workers, and I saw a course online, and I'm taking it. I'm actually 6 courses in, so I have 3 more to go, and then hopefully I'll be certified.
You know, that's the wonderful thing about trans women today. They're actually taking a step into the workforce, into society, to be themselves and actually contributing. And as you see, she's now educating herself to do better and to help others. I mean, education really helps us all.
Education is key.
Yeah, education and knowledge. Knowledge and education is key. Now,
Let me say this a minute. You're never too old to learn.
That's right. That's right. I say that all the time. And you know, if you're not on the internet these days, you're disconnected from society in a big sense. And you're disconnected from a lot of the resources that you probably could have if you were on the internet. You'll get to know who's who and where you can reach out to get this and that. And you know, what I like about you is that you were honest with me. You were like, Stephanie, this is what's happening and this is what needs to be addressed. And I like when we were talking about the downfall of the Toronto gay community, how things have disappeared, how we had so much of an abundance of everything, and we all were fighting on the same.
For that little piece of pie.
That's right. And we achieved so much from getting housing, AIDS medications, for just mental health resources. So many things that we achieved and now are kind of non-existent in our community, but supplied now by the government, but used to be controlled more by us helping each other. Now, what do you plan on doing now that the pandemic is slowly winding down and we're going sort of back to normal? What's your next plan of action?
Well, my next plan of action is actually passing my course, going on job attachment, and I'm working with the afflicted by opioid epidemic. And also, we have to maintain. They have an opioid epidemic, but we also have to take care of our mental health. Because much people don't be talking about that, but mental health plays a big part in who's going to come off of drugs, who's going to stay off of drugs, and who needs the help because of the drugs and the mental health and that sort of stuff.
Now, in our community, drugs are rampant. They're rampant. And it's strange. I looked at several different things. I do understand the BLM movement now that a lot of the people that I've had on the show have explained it to me, their mandate, their goals, and what direction they want to go in, and what their agenda is. Now, what I didn't understand is because drugs are so rampant in our community and we don't see the police like we probably should see the police now, and you see all these people walking around, people that used to be part of our community, that is still part of our community because they're hanging around, either whether they know that the drugs are there or whether they know that that's where they feel comfortable or that's just what they call home or whatever. What do you think has happened in our community? You say you're fighting for harm reduction. What do you think, first of all, what has happened?
I think what happened with the pandemic, we're isolated, and who hasn't been drinking, started up drinking, who was doing recreational drugs have now started off doing hard drugs. So obviously we have that compound isolation and drugs, so we're having the overdoses and that sort of stuff. But what I think we also need is a safe place for these people to go and do their drugs, so that if they do have an overdose and that sort of stuff, that they're monitored and somebody could come in and help them. That's the honest truth. I don't believe that we're enabling them, but we do need to help them. Not everyone wants to come off the drugs, but there's a time and place for everything, and we do need to help these people.
Okay. Now, what do you think needs to be the first step to do that? Because a lot of the people in the community have went to these rehab programs, and the government has offered programs. They run programs out of the 519 that I don't think are as serious as they probably should be there to really help people.
True.
Because there's such an epidemic concentrated right in our community. So that means that there's a real issue and a real problem in our community central.
Well, for me, I think we need to go and talk to the addicts, what they need. How can we help them? How can we help you? You know what I mean? Instead of we handing out care packages and kits and clean needles and that sort of stuff, but we also got to take care of their mental health. What is the core root of you doing this, so we can wean you off slowly, gradually, so that you can be part of the community again and giving back to the community. You know what I mean?
Now, I like the way you say it, frankly, because sometimes people need to be just told the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to just face the truth, and I like the fact that you said that you gotta be honest with people, and you've got to, even regardless of how you feel about them as a marginalized group
Community,
of people, you have to sort of put your hand out. You put your hand out, somebody will reach their hand out to get the help that
if you
they
want the
need.
help, it's there for you. You can access it.
We have such a big world, and it's full of services in all ways. And it's strange that these people have all these addictions and all these issues and don't reach out. Or they do reach out. You can only go to rehab 11 times and keep relapsing. What do you say about that?
It's the core root of why are these people relapsing? You understand? what is making them relapse, what's making them go back choosing the drugs when they're off of the drugs. You understand what I mean? So we have to look into that too. And yes, you said there's a lot of resources, but how are they going to tap into the resources? Because I'm going to tell you the honest truth. When I was transitioning, there was a lot of resources, but then if you didn't know who to ask, you will never know where to go. So that's the lack of knowledge and people and knowing where to go is the problem as well.
Now, you know, when you say that, you know, me being from Florida, I know that the girls didn't have a lot of resources because a lot of them didn't go to doctors. They did a lot of these illegal silicone
Sisters to
things.
sisters.
Yeah.
We get a sister get hormones, she sell it to you and that sort of stuff.
And, you know, it's a good thing that now that the government is really starting
Regulating
to...
it.
Yeah, and starting
Giving
to...
your family doctors. You know, you're getting your liver tests and everything else test so that you don't get liver disease. You're getting an oncologist to test your blood and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
It's amazing what trans women have, how well they're doing these days and how far they have to go. But in the process of her being a trans woman and helping other trans women and marginalized people at the same time understand their mental health, understand that there are options and there is resources. And the good thing about this is, for me, I really want to put it out there for the girls to really reach out for the resources. People who are struggling with anything, like all of us are struggling with something, reach out to people. There's a lot of people that will help you. Now, you know, the Canadian government has been amazing and sort of, you know...
It's a back and forth, a tug of war, yeah.
It's a tug of war in a sense, but yet there is some common ground.
I just want to say thanks to the Canadian government. I'm the woman that I am today. Because when I first came here, I got in contact with a doctor that was knowledgeable about transitioning and that sort of stuff. And that's what we need more. We need more doctors that know about transitioning and that sort of stuff, but they're not a lot. And the doctors that are trying to help are, you know, fumbling in the dark, trying to figure out what's going on. And I want to say this. There's no reason for a sister to be taking hormones and not going to the doctor, because hormones can cause blood clots and that sort of stuff. They have a lot of accessibility to doctors that actually know what they're doing, that can help us, that can put us on the right dosage and that sort of stuff, so we don't be overdosing ourselves and going in and almost, you know, overdosing and committing crimes and that sort of stuff.
Well, you know, that's a good thing about this country and the government.
It's great country.
They have, you know, I was watching a few weeks ago, I saw that they brought up the drag thing in Parliament, and I was very surprised that they actually brought the drag thing up and said that it needs to be looked at as art. So that's a step for the entertainers and the performers and the drag queens, or I just say entertainers or female impersonators, people who are trying to make a living in the art of female impersonation, whether they're transitioning as a woman, or they're just entertainers or performers, or they're just being themselves and wanting to express themselves. Now, what do you think we should do now from the pandemic? What do you think we should go now? What needs to happen right now?
Well, right now we need housing for the trans community. Safe, affordable housing for the trans community. We need accessibility to mental health, as I always am going to say. We need places that trans people could go learn different stuff and that sort of stuff, to educate themselves so that they don't have to survive on sex work.
Okay.
You understand? Yes, we do sex work, but that's for us to survive. That's survival sex work. But with this pandemic and how things were going, you see a shift on. Instead of the streets, we're more online. We're doing like cam shows and that sort of stuff. But what we really need is education. That's what we really need: education and help.
Well, you know, the good thing about all of this, at the end of the day, like you said, this pandemic equalized a lot of things. Now, trans women are being recognized all over the world. People all over the world are expressing themselves and being who they want to be. Now, you also see there's a lot of job opportunities for everyone. So now you see that a lot of the girls can work now. They don't have to resort to sex work. They now have an option because there's so many jobs coming available. Either you're a hostess, a dishwasher, a chef, and a lot of the
A
girls,
counselor.
yeah, and a lot of the girls now are looking at other people across the world. These are resources for them to perform in other clubs, go to other cities. They can work now. So my hats off to the pandemic. Was good in one way and really bad in another way because we lost a lot of amazing people in the world and we weren't able to bury them the way we would
And we
normally
wasn't
bury
able
them.
to grieve.
And people weren't able to grieve the way they were and the way they feel and the stuff. But you know, at the end of the day, I think that we're going to move forward in a more of a positive direction and we're going to have a better respect for each other. Now, how do we get a hold of you? Like you say, you're taking a course now
Yeah.
for harm reduction.
Yes, I am.
Now, what are you going to do after that? After you graduate?
I'm going to work in an office trying to help my community get over this drug epidemic that is going on. You can reach me on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, I'm Tashir Carter. On Facebook, I'm Tashir Carter. So you can reach me on there. Yeah.
Here on the show, she's Vanessa Carter. On Facebook, she's Tashir Carter.
Yes, I
So
am.
y'all check her out on Facebook. She's a harm reductionist and a trans activist. For a lot of you girls out there that are looking where you can get your hormones, where you can get resources, and where she can just give you some information on how she did it.
And I want to say one more thing. If you're looking to get in contact with groups and that sort of stuff, they're Black Cap, and there's Equitable Action for Change, and there's also Salon Noir that will help.
Perfect. And for a lot of you sex workers out there, women or trans women, there's Maggie's, and there's lots of different resources.
519.
Yeah. So we have lots of resources for you. So now that things are opening back up, reach out. I want to say thank you to Vanessa Carter, aka Tashir Carter on Facebook, for being on my show today. I want to thank you guys so much out there in TV land and YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I want to say thank you guys so much for supporting Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. We have a lot of interesting conversations coming your way, and we want to say thank you
I'm
to
so welcome to you.
Vanessa. She traveled all the way down here to do this for me, so thank you. And hopefully today we helped educated and inspired someone out there. I'm Stephanie Stevens, and thank you guys for tuning in to Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, guys.